guys, Miss Terrell here. Today we're going to answer the question, how do I solve one-step equations? First of all, we want to look at what is an equation. It says an equation is a mathematical sentence that contains an equal sign. So in this problem, we have the equation 5n equals 25. So looking at the balance scale, what that means is you're going to try to figure out what number you would multiply 5 by to get. Alright, so we're going to follow these 3 steps to solve any equation. The first one is that you're going to isolate the variable on one side of the equation. Alright, so in this case that means we are going to try to isolate the variable n by itself. Alright, the second step, you're always going to perform the same operation to both sides of the equation. So whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must also do to the other side. And then the third step says to undo an operation. So in this case, to undo, our operation is multiplication. We're going to perform the inverse operation to both sides. All right, so we're going to move on to the next slide so we can talk about the inverse operations. Oh my goodness, will you look at this? Right up here is my kitty Cleo. One day I came home and he was sleeping right there on Silas's sweater. And the next thing I looked up and he was doing the opposite thing. He was wide awake. So that reminded me of the inverse, something that is the opposite of something else. All right, so in math, when we talk about an inverse operation, that means, thanks for the pie, Ava, an operation that, an operation that undoes the effect of another operation. All right, so in math, what's the inverse operation of addition? So the inverse operation is going to be subtraction. All right, so let's say you had the number 10. All right, and I add to that a 2, and I get 12. Well, how would I get back to having just 10? I would start with 12, and I would do the inverse operation. I would subtract 2, and I would end up with 10. All right, so the inverse of subtraction is addition. All right, the inverse of multiplication, is division. All right, so like if I multiply 4 times 5 to get 20, then I wanted to start with 20. What would I do to get back to 4? I would divide by 5 to get 4. So multiplication and division are inverse operations. So the inverse of division is multiplication. All right, so now we're going to take this and apply it to solving equations. All right, solve the following equations. Type 1, addition. All right, so I know this is an addition problem because I have a variable r plus a number 85 equals 20. So when I see an addition problem, I know that I need to undo addition using subtraction. All right, so let's add that word in up here again. All right, undo using subtraction. All right, so whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So if when I have an addition problem, I'm going to undo it with subtracting that same number from both sides. All right, so under the number on both sides, I'm going to write the number that I'm subtracting. All right, now as I read through my problem again, I have r. There's nothing under r, so I'm going to bring that r straight down. All right, then it says you have a positive 85 minus 85. Well, 85 minus 85, we know that's 0. All right, so I'm going to bring down a plus 0. I'm going to bring down my equal. And then it says 20 minus 85. So 20 minus 85 is negative 65. All right, then we know if we add 0 to r, we're just going to get r. So we get r equals negative 65. Now, I want to check and make sure that's right. So I'm going to take the r, negative 65, plus 85. Is that equal to 20? All right, well, if I check that, negative 65 plus 85 is exactly 20. So I have both of my sides of the equation are equal. So that is 100% correct. All right, so for the next one, it says 99 equals x plus 2. All right, so to undo that, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. All right, so now, let's follow my procedure here. 99 minus 2 would be 97. I'm going to bring down the equal, bring down the x, and then what's 2 minus 2? Well, that's 0, so I don't need to write in that 0. We did that the first time. We don't need to keep doing that. All right, so we get x equals 97. A real quick check. Is 99 equal to 97 plus 2? Yes, 99. When you add those two together, you get 99. So that's correct. All right, I want you to write this one down and solve it for me. Let's say you have y plus 5 equals 16. All right, raise your hand so we can check that one. Type 2. The type is subtraction. I don't know where Dad is. A minus 5 equals 28. All right, so that is a subtraction problem. So I must undo using addition. Undo using addition. All right, so here we go. We are going to, whatever I subtracted from the variable, a minus 5, I'm going to now add to both sides of the equation. All right, you have to write it down on both sides. All right, you're going to bring down your variable here. All right, so it says a. What's negative 5 plus 5? That would be 0. So then I'm going to leave that. I'm going to bring down that equals mark. And then 28 plus 5 is 30. Now I'd like you to copy and try this one and then raise your hand to get checked. So we're going to have y minus 12 is equal to negative 82. Right? Y minus 12. So think about what's the inverse operation for subtraction. And you want to add that number to both sides. Type 3. Our type is multiplication. Number 1, negative 8x equals 56. All right, so that means negative 8 times some number equals 56. So, the night, Silas, love you. So the inverse operation multiplication is division. So we're going to undo using division. All right, so negative 8 times x equals 56. Inverse of multiplication is division. So I need to divide both sides by negative 8. Divide by negative 8. All right, so then what's negative 8 divided by negative 8? Well, that's just 1. Okay, so I bring down 1 times x equals, and then 56 divided by negative 8. What is 56 divided by negative 8? That would be negative 7. All right, and then 1 times x is x equals negative 7. So you don't have to write in that last stuff there, but it's not bad to do it at first. All right, so if we check that, we're going to say, is negative 8 times negative 7, is that equal to 56? And if I multiply negative 8 times negative 7, I get 56, and that is obviously equal to 56, so that is correct. All right, number 2. Negative 55 equals 11b. So that means negative 55 equals 11 times some number. All right, so to figure that out, what's the inverse of multiplication? That would be division. So I need to divide both sides by 11 to get that b by itself. Divide by 11. All right, now, what's 11 divided by 11? Well, that equals 1, right? So I'm going to cross those out. 11 divided by 11 is 1. All right, negative 55 divided by 11 is going to be a negative 5. All right, so I get negative 5 equals 1 times b. So 1 times b is just b. So we can just leave it as negative 5 equals b. All right, so let's say we're going to check this. I'm just going to say this in my head here. 11 times negative 55. Is 11 times negative 55 equal to negative 55? Yes. So negative 5 times 11 is negative 55. All right, so I want you to solve this one and then raise your hand. Let's say you have the equation 12 equals negative 3b. All right, so solve that and then raise your hand. All right, type 4. Number 1 says x divided by 3 equals 8. All right, so I just said that, x divided by 3. So we're going to undo division with multiplication. All right, so when you say your problem, that's going to help you decide which operation you have to perform. And it's always going to be the opposite or inverse operation. All right, so if I have multiplication here, let's look at 8 divided by 3. So the inverse of division is going to be multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So I'm going to put a 3 on each side. All right, now, well, that's really a 3 over 1. So here I have 3 over 1 times x over 3. Well, look at that. I have a 3 in the numerator, a 3 in the denominator. So those are just going to cancel out and make a 1x. So I can bring down just an x equals, and then 8 times 3 is 24. All right, so to check, 24 divided by 3, is that equal to 8? Yes, 24 divided by 3 is 8, and that is the same on both sides. All right, number 2. Negative 4 equals c divided by 9. Okay, so if c was divided by 9, to get c back by itself, I'm going to find the inverse operation. I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. All right, now look at this. This 9 over 1. So you have a 9 in the numerator, 9 in the denominator. 9 divided by 9 is 1. Okay, so over here on the right I get 1 times c, or just c. And then over here on the left I have 9 times negative 4, which would be negative 36. All right, and then for the third one, I want you to try this one. And you're going to try to solve the problem. X divided by negative 3 equals 14. All right, so solve that and raise your hand, please. After that, then you're going to finish the last 4 problems at the bottom of your handout. All right, so if you need to hear anything again, just rewind it and listen again.